The Hittites, a Bronze Age superpower that once held sway over much of Anatolia and rivaled the might of Egypt, are often reduced to a historical asterisk, a civilization that mysteriously blinked out around 1200 BCE. Known for their iron weapons, sophisticated diplomacy, and a capital city of breathtaking scale, their demise is typically chalked up to the chaotic Late Bronze Age collapse. But the real story of what happened to the Hittites is far more intriguing than a simple fade to black. Beneath the ashes of their ruins lies evidence of ingenuity, survival, and a legacy that defies the textbook tale. Conventional history paints a grim picture. The Hittite Empire fell victim to the widespread turmoil of the Late Bronze Age collapse around 1200 BCE. Invaders dubbed the Sea Peoples, droughts, famines, and internal discord are said to have toppled this once mighty realm. Hattusa, their imposing capital, was left in flames, its cyclopean walls silent. Scholars nod to this as the end, an empire extinguished in a wave of destruction. Yet, this oversimplified narrative misses the nuances and resilience that define the Hittites' true fate. The ruins of Hattusa offer a tantalizing puzzle. The city was indeed burned, with scorched timbers and shattered pottery marking its end. But the absence of widespread skeletons, or signs of a desperate last stand, raises questions. Some archaeologists now argue the Hittites may have set the fires themselves, a deliberate act to thwart invaders, or signal a planned exodus. The royal treasury was emptied of gold and silver, yet the clay tablet archives remained, suggesting a retreat with purpose, not panic. Were they safeguarding their future by sacrificing their past? The usual suspect, the Sea Peoples, might not deserve all the blame. Hittite records focus more on the Kaska, a rugged northern people who raided their borders relentlessly. These mountain warriors, often dismissed as minor nuisances, could have worn down the empire's defenses over decades, forcing a strategic withdrawal. Far from vanishing, the Hittites re-emerged in a constellation of smaller kingdoms, known as the Neo-Hittite states, scattered across southern Anatolia and northern Syria. Cities like Carchemish, Malatya, and Kumani didn't just cling to life, they flourished, blending Hittite traditions with new influences. Carchemish, for instance, became a trade powerhouse, its rulers commissioning grand monuments, adorned with lions and deities reminiscent of Hattusa's glory days. These states maintained diplomatic ties with Assyria, and even held their own against regional powers until the 8th century BCE. What's striking is their cultural tenacity. Neo-Hittite rulers adopted Aramaic script alongside their own Luwian hieroglyphs, creating a hybrid identity that bridged the Bronze and Iron Ages. Their stone reliefs, depicting kings smiting enemies, or offering tribute, echo the artistic swagger of their ancestors, proving the Hittite spirit endured. Environmental upheaval adds another layer to the mystery. Around 1200 BCE, a severe drought gripped the eastern Mediterranean, evidenced by shriveled tree rings and parched lake beds. For the Hittites, whose heartland relied on rainfall, rather than river systems like Egypt's Nile, this was a death knell. Diplomatic letters from the period reveal pleas to foreign powers for grain, while prayers to storm gods grew frantic. Hattusa's highland location, once a defensive asset, became a liability as springs dried up. This climate crisis likely sparked mass migration southward, where rivers like the Orontes offered a lifeline. The Hittites didn't collapse under swords alone, nature dealt a blow that forced them to adapt or perish. Their shift to more sustainable regions underscores a pragmatism rarely celebrated. The Hittite language, an Indo-European oddity, deciphered only in the last century, didn't die with Hattusa. It evolved into Luvian, spoken and inscribed across the Neo-Hittite realms. Rock faces and city gates bear these cryptic hieroglyphs, curved symbols telling tales of kings and gods. Some scholars speculate that rural Luvian-speaking communities quietly preserved Hittite rituals and myths, outlasting the urban elite. This linguistic survival hints at a broader cultural stealth. As Assyrians and Phrygians rose, they absorbed Hittite elements, metallurgy techniques, religious motifs, without crediting the source. The Hittites became a ghost in the machine of Near Eastern history, their influence masked by louder voices. The Hittites were no strangers to war, and their military innovations didn't vanish with their empire. Their light, three-man chariots, faster and deadlier than Egyptian models, set a standard that lingered into the Iron Age. Neo-Hittite armies likely passed this know-how to neighbors, and traces of Hittite-style fortifications appear in later Anatolian sites. Even their use of iron, once thought revolutionary, may have seeded the region's metallurgical shift, though credit often goes to others. A curious detail, Hittite treaties, like the famous one with Egypt after the Battle of Kadesh, 1274 BCE, pioneered concepts of extradition and mutual defense. These diplomatic templates influenced Assyrian and Persian statecraft, yet, the Hittites rarely get a nod as trailblazers. One provocative idea gaining traction among maverick historians is that Hittite refugees didn't just stay local. Could some have trekked westward, blending into the Aegean world? The timing aligns with the rise of new settlements in western Anatolia, and certain Mycenaean artifacts, like double-headed axes, echo Hittite designs. While speculative, it's a reminder that the Hittites' reach may extend further than we think. The Hittites didn't meet a cinematic end, they morphed. Their empire splintered, their people dispersed, and their culture seeped into the fabric of the ancient Near East. By the time the Neo-Hittite states succumbed to Assyrian conquest, the Hittite name had faded, but their DNA, linguistic, artistic, technological, lived on in successors. History books prefer a clean break, but the Hittites defy that. They weren't hapless casualties of chaos, they were shapeshifters who navigated a world unraveling. From burning their own capital to rebuilding in exile, their story is one of grit and reinvention. So next time you skim a chapter on the Bronze Age, look past the collapse hype. The Hittites didn't just survive, they rewrote their ending, one quiet triumph at a time. Thank you for watching. If you found this video insightful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more content on ancient mysteries, spirituality and self-development.